Hello, Canucks fans, and welcome back to another episode of the Canucks Conversation, brought to you by the great folks over at Montana's. We've got a giveaway going on with them. You can find it on all of our social channels. It is the pinned tweet. It is the pinned post on Instagram. Check it out, Twitter, Instagram. Go check it out. $100 gift card up for grabs. The contest ends at 5 p.m. Pacific time on February 16th.
Some rumors out there it's midnight, but I heard 5, yep.
Recording this on the 14th. It's Valentine's Day, of course.
Oh,
so go check out Montana's
love's in the air.
Daily deals. 7 locations across British Columbia. Go
Fort St.
check
John,
them out.
Tsawwassen, Victoria, Kelowna. That's all I got.
Okay. All
There's
right.
some other ones in there. Hold on. I don't want to leave any out.
Sure.
Prince George. I always forget. Langley as well. You forget about the Langley one. Must be hidden pretty good out there.
I got a special message on this here Valentine's Day.
Yeah, it better not be what I think it is.
What do you think it would be?
I thought you were gonna eat.
Eat my pizza. I do have pizza here. And
you pre-sliced it, so you said you could sneak in a snack at some point.
Yes.
I don't think it's getting by me today.
The clip, well, it didn't get by you yesterday. The clip yesterday, you were all over it.
I'm quicker than I look.
Yeah. Okay. Real quick, I want to get this in here. We had a listener reach out to us. Nafisa, her name is. And she reached out and she wanted us to tell her husband a very special message on this here Valentine's Day. I'm trying to find the message and the name. I should have this prepared.
Well, okay. Valentine's Day, yeah.
Goes by Deem. Yes. Excuse me. I almost butchered that. Deem, your wife loves you. And we appreciate your listener. They both listen to the show.
Oh,
it's so nice. And you know what? That's what Canucks Convo does. We bring people together. They didn't meet because of the show or anything like that. But I think she said that he used to listen to the show to fall asleep. Don't know what that says about us, but a lot of people do that. A lot of people listen to podcasts, that sort of stuff. So he's been listening since COVID to fall asleep at night. And then she said that one night she kind of asked him to turn it up. She listened and she said that we are so funny. She didn't emphasize me, but she did choose to message me. So I think she thinks I'm funnier than you. But yeah, she said the first 10 minutes of the show are her favorite part because of the banter back and forth. So to her husband, your wife loves you. And she reached out to us and we wanted to deliver that message.
I love that. That's adorable.
I remember because so a little insider baseball here. We're kind of known for forgetting some stuff. You and I.
Who, me?
You and don't make me start airing our dirty laundry on the show. I don't want to have to do this on Valentine's Day.
Okay, fair enough.
Okay, but
I know when to bet and I know when to fold. I will fold on.
We are known for forgetting stuff as a unit sometimes. So as soon as I got this message, I texted you and I said, hey, we cannot forget about this. Put a reminder in your phone right now. I had 3 reminders. I got one on my watch, I got one on my phone, and I got one on my computer. All separate reminders, okay? And I made sure that I remembered this. And it was a big day for us, but I'm glad we were able to slip this in there.
Well, good. Happy Valentine's Day to everyone.
Valentines. We're starting this.
Yep. It's in the description of the YouTube show, so it's Valentine's Day.
Also, today. Nafisa, I want you to message me and tell me your husband's reaction. I think that is going to be awesome. I'm very, very excited. He's gonna
be passed out. He's gonna be sleeping by the time this thing hits.
He goes by Deemer. That's a cool nickname. His name's Nadeem.
Yeah, but Dee's passing out to the show. He's not gonna hear the reaction.
It's the intro.
It's gonna put him to sleep by then.
How long does it take you to fall asleep?
12 minutes every night.
Really, that fast, eh?
No, well, it depends.
I've been falling asleep quickly as well. Like, I would say it's about 12 minutes.
Yeah.
I have been lately.
Well, you and I have been trying, like, for a long time, and I still do a lot. You do it less than I do, but, like, stay up very late. And I still do. Like, I stay up until, like, an early night for me is if I'm in bed by 1, that's early. That's an early night. Most nights I'm up till about 1:32-ish and kind of, like, in that ballpark area. I
try to be sleeping before midnight every night. Doesn't often happen.
No.
But
I just can't. I'm just sore. Like, I worked at the mill and you did all these switches, right? You did all these switches from mornings to nights, and it screwed up my sleep schedule. You know, I don't eat until, like, I haven't eaten today. What time is it? It's 1 o'clock. I haven't had piece of anything today.
Want some
If you
pizza?
work, no, I don't want your pizza. Put that thing away here. If anything, that's what I'm having is a super duper weenie from the great folks in Bridgeport over there. Look at that guy, super duper weenie over there. But no, I because of working so many night shifts at the mill, I just I would get sick if I woke up, right? Like if I woke up and ate, I would just get sick, and I can't do it. So now my sleep schedule's gone, my eating schedule's gone. This whole what is this? This intermittent faster things? These intermittent fasters, right?
Yeah, sure. That was correct.
I do that on accident. I go like I only eat for like 4 hours in the day, and then someone told me about this, like, oh, like you're intermittent fasting. I'm like, no, I just like don't. I just get I get like 2,500 calories in 2 hours. So I just pump it all into you in 2 hours, and then I don't eat for the rest of the day.
Good for you. Okay.
Wait, is it good for me? I don't think so. Like, everybody online's like, oh, you're going to lose all this weight. Look at me. I'm not losing any. Actually, I am. I am losing some weight. I weighed in this morning on the scale because my fiance told me you got to weigh in the morning and like consistently at the same time in the morning. So I weighed in the morning. I'm like 7 pounds lighter than I was last night. Where did the 7 pounds go from last night until this morning? Did I sweat 7 pounds out?
I hope not. I don't actually know the science behind it, if you couldn't tell.
No, like, and that's the thing. Like, I took a piss in between. I didn't piss out 7 pounds. Did I?
No, I don't think so.
Piss?
I don't think you did. Did you feel 7 pounds later after you took a leak?
I don't think so. I mean, like, I
Those
took
are the best though. Actually, we're not gonna start this. We're not gonna start in the morning. This.
Nothing like a good piss.
Okay, enough. We're not gonna
stop.
This
could be a 20-minute discussion here.
I knew Alex was gonna jump in right there.
How many pounds
did you introduce?
I didn't even intro us in. My name's David Drelly, joined as always by the man who built the place, Chris Faber. Our technical producer is Alex Allard. This is the Canucks Conversation. After that Valentine's Day shout out.
Alex, what's better than a morning piss, man?
Okay, no. Alex, don't answer that. We're moving on here. We're moving right along. The Vancouver Canucks home struggles. We said we would talk about the game. How much do you want to talk about the game?
I don't know. There is so much to dive into. I snuck into practice. I didn't have time to do media because we had to come do the show. What's up with this? You got to practice at noon in the middle of the day. Those guys,
what did you see at that practice?
Oh my God! I'll get to that in a little bit. Let's start with the home struggles. Okay, the struggles that the Vancouver Canucks have on home ice is don't put that pizza down because you're about to be.
I put it down.
You're not touching that pizza until the end of the show.
Go ahead. Sorry, continue.
I don't like this. You're like, oh, it might be a bit of me eating on the show. That's not a bit. That's not a thing we want to do on the show.
People loved it yesterday, and I like eating. So, okay, continue.
If I'm doing AHL or prospects, you can have the pizza.
Sure,
but
I won't touch it.
The home struggles of the Canucks. Okay, this is what
it interesting pizza? Like what's on the pizza?
Leave the pizza out of this for a little bit. I got AHL stuff later. He can eat the pizza then.
I'll describe it too. Go ahead.
Anyways.
Sorry.
Anyways.
Home struggles.
Sorry for yelling at you, Alex. The home struggles. Here's what I've thought about the Vancouver Canucks, okay, over the last little bit. I think the Canucks are trying to put an entertaining product in Rogers Arena, right? With a lot of different things, like re-signing Kuzmenko, having all this new, I think the Canucks do a pretty good job of game presentation. They have some good, what is the lights and all this stuff, all this cool stuff. The presentation of the game is really good. But it's like what's happening on the ice is incredibly poor for the Canucks on home ice. They're 29th in the league in goals against per game at home. They're almost allowing 4 goals a game at home, like as an average. Not like this is happening every once in a while. They've had 25 of their 54 games this year have 5 goals or more against. They're only averaging 3 goals per game right now at home. That's 19th in the NHL, but they're 29th in goals against. So it's not like they're having it's not like they're scoring a ton and making it fun at home. They're just very poor on home ice. And I think that's going to be something that's going to hurt this team for at least like the near future of wanting to keep fans in the arena. Like I can't like these games that we're seeing, and we're talking about last night's game kind of here, but we're talking about a lot of home ice losses right now with the way the Canucks are playing. Like a 6-1 loss to the Detroit Red Wings last night. Like we come in here and we're at the point of the season where it's like, I don't think losses should be like this kind of this much of an effect on us at this point. But it's like you see a performance like last night, and you're just thinking like, well, they're not taking any steps towards anything. Like they should, at least if you're like losing games, you're taking steps towards anything. Nobody could talk about like what they could take away from that game and improve on. they just weren't good at hockey last night.
And that's the thing is, again, this is, again, you know what? People pointed out to me that I say again a lot and say something that I haven't said
really?
yet. So I'm going to try and do that less. I did good yesterday, but today I want to talk about it. We've talked about Tocchet before and things we like about him, things we don't like about him. He's asked what he likes about the game last night. The fourth line. The fourth line played like 13 minutes last night, and we do have some new lines from practice today to point out, and we will do that. But my point here, Chris, is that I didn't really love that from Tocchet. But you know what I did really like was how he pointed out just that, yeah, like we got to go back to grade school. And boy, that practice that you saw today, really, he delivered on that.
Yeah, let's get a quote from Tocchet up here right now. Let's just start with the, because I got these from yesterday. After the game, we'll start with the Tocchet high risk team one, Alex. We'll get to that in just a second, but yeah, it was, and we got it. We got some tweets to get to in here in a little bit of what I actually saw at practice today. We might as well dive right into it. But let's first hear from Rick Tocchet, talking about a lot of things with this team, you know, needing to go back to grade school and being a high risk team. So here's Rick Tocchet post game yesterday.
It's not frustration. It's just like, you know, it's my job, the coaches, to make these guys understand stuff. You know. We're going to practice tomorrow, and we're going to have to go back to grade school on how to defend, how to stop and start, because too many guys are spinning. Very high-risk team. You know, I thought in the road trip, we thought some parts of our game, I thought we got it, but then, you know, we get this high risk, and, you know, some of the better players tonight, you know, they were just too risky for me.
Yeah, I mean, they went back to grade school today. We have some video to get to in just a minute. I'm just trying to get the lines punched in here for Alex so he can play with them a little bit. But high risk is something that he's talked about a lot, right? And I get it, but I also think that, and I thought this last night watching the game, was like momentum, right? How big is momentum in sports? Hockey, I think it's huge. When you have the momentum, you have good shifts. The Canucks couldn't have little victories to even build momentum yesterday. There wasn't a time where, like, yeah, they put together a few passes here and there, and yeah, they had a few shifts in the offensive zone. They had some shots on net and everything, but you need to, like, just build, like, a little win here, a win on the boards here, a good step in the, you know, a good positioning play by a defenseman here, a little bit more in the offensive zone on a forecheck here. Just a lot of little things that you want to see done well for this team. They couldn't do anything that built up any bit of momentum. It felt like the Canucks weren't in that game for a second yesterday. Like, it really felt like they were nowhere near being even competitive in that game yesterday, and that sucks. Like, that really sucks, especially against the Detroit Red Wings team, right? The Red Wings are about to sell off their captain, their best player. I
think that's what hit a lot of people the hardest, Chris, was just the fact that the team they lost to, and again, we've talked about tanking. Darn, I said it again. We've talked about tanking losses a lot this season, right? And the best win you can hope for a Canucks is not a win in the stat sheet. It is a loss in regulation, but they do some really good things. Like, you think about those games that we watched, those 5-4 losses or whatever it was, where they were actually like, hey, you know what? We look like we're playing with some structure right now, right? And Tocchet's saying, you know what? We can build on this game. Like, there's some good things here.
Yeah, and there's going to be steps back. Like, you're going, not every step is going to be forward when you're talking about really rebuilding a structure of a team and trying to change things. But it's like,
because at the end of the day, and
but what you want to eliminate is big steps back. And the Canucks took such a big step back last night that they went into practice today and were doing, like, the most elementary type of drills of, like, where to position, where to look. I put the video in there. I don't know if Alex, if you have this, it's in the, if you can pull this up, it's just a tweet from, I believe it's Brendan Batchelor. And it's the most simple drill. What they were doing was, like, they set up in the offensive zone. They got into their positions of, like, two defensemen at the point, wingers on either side of the boards. They made a pass. The whistle would blow. They stopped. Like, they weren't moving. They would just make a pass, stop, go to the position. It was such elementary, simple type of drill of them trying to understand, like, what is expected of them in their own zone. It was wild to watch. It was very wild to watch, just, like, how simple it was. And it was, you know, basically exactly what Rick Tocchet said about, like, you know, it's going to have to be grade school. We saw that today at practice. It's crazy. I do have the video here. You can blow my screen up here, Alex. It's just like they make a pass, they stop it. Look, we got 3 different places here. Put it on your screen too, Quads. But they, like, would make a pass, stop, Then it's like pass, get into position, stop. Now what do we do here? What do we do here? And it was like, it's wild to see the situation that I guess this team has gotten to. But like, is this needed? Maybe this is needed. Like this to understand, like making these massive errors yesterday, horrible pinches by defensemen. The whole game, when you're not taking a step forward, you need to maybe take like a personal step back in this situation and have a practice like this. Like this is what this team, a lot of people saw last night. Like, yeah, they do need to go back to grade school. When Rick Tocchet said that last night, nobody was like, no way. Like these guys know what they're doing in the NHL. Like, why would they have to go back and learn the basic things that we see this at Pee Wee practices? Like, no, like the way that Tocchet saw is like, oh, like we can't build off of what the Canucks have done up to this point in the season. We need to rebuild the entire way of how these guys play hockey. And like, that's what they did today at practice.
So here's the thing. And talks about this, talks about fitness, right? And he says, when you get tired, sometimes you just freeze, kind of. That's a good way to describe how the Canucks defend, for sure. But how much of it is fitness and how much of it is just the Canucks don't have great players? Like, not even just great players as a whole, but great defensive players. Like, their defensemen aren't very good. And I think that shows a lot. You look at this team and you say, like, okay, yes, they can improve defensively, but how much of that is going to come from these kind of practices? Like, here's the thing that I keep coming back to, Chris, is we saw Jalen Chatfield in this market for a while. It was never anything special. Nobody said boo when he left the organization. The Canucks let him walk, right? Nobody thought that was anything. Goes to Carolina. He's playing in this defensive system in Carolina and having success. The same defensive system where Ethan Bear couldn't crack above Jalen Chatfield, and now the Canucks have Ethan Bear on their team. And again, this isn't to single out Ethan Bear and say, well, Ethan Bear's the problem or anything like that. That's not what I'm getting at. What I'm getting at is that when you have a strong enough defensive system, there are guys that can fit in that system and guys who just can't. That is the point I'm getting at. And I wonder, like, it's not acceptable how the Canucks defend. I think everybody can agree on that. But how much of that is going to be able to actually be addressed from coaching, right? Like, again, darn, I said it again.
Don't worry about it. You can't correct it in one episode.
Yeah, but you have this idea of, well, we can fix this.
See, so here's what I said there is like, maybe you can't fix this. You need to restart it, right?
Well, I think that's what I'm getting at.
That's
the way to fix the defensive woes is to get about 5 new defensemen for this defense core.
Sure, and I mean that is something that needs to happen as well. But maybe like as you're making that adjustment, like that can't change today. They're not going to get 5 new defensemen today.
Absolutely.
So it's kind of like you need to have that as like a longer progression type of thing. But right now, like Rick Tocchet is teaching these players from the most basic way of defending, where to be on the ice, little spots. I think that it's interesting. He's brought it up a couple times in the past couple weeks here. He's like, when we're in our zone, like both of our defensemen can't be below the goal line. And it's like, yes, that seems very obvious. But then again, yesterday we see a goal where the only guy like around the crease is Vasily Podkolzin coming back to defend. At least he has a stick on the guy, but both defensemen are below the goal line again. It's like that. You just can't do that.
That's like Nikita Triamkin's music.
No, I mean Triamkin, at least he's tall enough. He could reach it. He tried both, but you can't. Like it's these feel like a very like that feels like a simple rule. Like if I know I'm not an NHL defenseman, but I feel like an NHL defenseman must know. Like, hey, when my partner goes down behind the line, I can't also go there. I can't also do this and just leave the wide, like the front of the net wide open.
It's interesting
interesting that some players in the system, I don't know if it's from the lacks from before or what's happening, but when we talk about structure and hear about Rick Tocchet wanting to have this team change their structure and actually have a real structure behind it, all this stuff that Jim Rutherford mentioned, maybe this is what they're talking about.
It's interesting to hear conversations that we've had with JT Miller in the past where he talked about improving defensively. And he says stuff like, I know he's there. It's not a matter of not understanding it. It's just a matter of putting it into practice. And it's a lot easier said than done. I find it really interesting because time and time again, we see these mistakes. And look, like, it's not like any of the Canucks defensemen that are making these mistakes don't think they're mistakes. Like, they don't go into the video room the next day and say, well, actually, coach, I'll tell you why this is a good idea, why I should be behind the goal line. Let me explain this to you. That's not what's happening here. It's a matter of, understanding the concept, but not being able to put it into action, which is what Tocchet with this drill today. And I guess we can transition to the time to work start.
No, I wouldn't mind playing. Yeah, well, I do have the Tocchet audio about, this team need to be consistent. We'll run that now because I feel like this kind of builds off of what you're saying there. And we'll get to the time to work because, yeah, it's time to work for the Vancouver Canucks. But first, let's hear Rick Tocchet talking about this team needing to be more consistent.
Well, it's hard to be consistent. It's hard to win. It's hard to be part of the process. It's hard to stop and start. And we just, like I said, we've got to strip it down and we got to just, make people understand how important it is to do these hard things to win. It's just start from the first goal, throwing a puck away and we give their best player a breakaway to start. It's we talked about it. We had a good practice, half decent practice yesterday. But then the ball starts right there, Then you get some guys get frustrated, smashing, which, no more smashing sticks and stuff. You can't be entitled in this game. It's a hard game to play, and we got to stick together. That's just the way it is. That's what teams do. Good teams do.
So if you didn't see it last night, it was Oliver Ekman-Larsson smashing his stick as he went to the bench. I don't know if the broadcast caught it because it was like, well, he got to the bench, smashed it there. And I found that like a little interesting because like we've seen JT Miller smash a stick a lot this season. We've seen Connor Garland does it a lot in practice as well. Didn't see any today in the 45 minutes. I didn't see the last 15 minutes of practice, which apparently missed a little bit of a dust up in there too.
Between Dakota Joshua and Quinn Hughes. That was Batch that reported that.
Interesting. So that was, this 12 o'clock practice does not set up well for the show. But I mean, yeah, it found it interesting to hear talk about entitlement in the NHL and the players need to really be accountable for a lot of things defensively. It's not like you can just go out and have a bad shift and smash your stick. You can be frustrated for sure, but I think what Tocchet probably is trying to get from these players is to understand where that frustration is coming from with this team. And that's why this team it needs to, the title of the episode, the thumbnail, this team does need to go back to grade school and make things the most simple base level of understanding what they want defensively and starting to play with that structure. It starts with day one of school, and that's where they're at right now. And it'll be interesting to see where this team follows up from, but gone should be the days of the run and gun offense. The way that this team sounds like it's going to have to run moving forward is going to be a much different brand of hockey. And I wonder how that reacts with kind of what we said in the opening part of the home struggles that they had. Though they've had some exciting games, right? The 6-5 shootout win against the Kraken this season. That was great at Rogers Arena. We've seen some really good games. The comeback against Montreal. These are exciting games, but those were run and gun games. When we start to see this team actually start to fall into this structure that they're hoping for, if they can get there, because you mentioned it, the people on the roster, it's going to be pretty difficult for this team to be a defensive-minded team. If they don't get to that point and you're seeing games, where the Canucks are squeaking out 2-1 wins and losing 2-1 a lot or losing 3-1, the product already on the ice is going to miss that excitement as well. So I'm curious if that's even something this organization wants moving forward. I've said it for a while. I think they want to have a good product at Rogers Arena where fans enjoy it. And it's, to me, the viewpoint of the organization from the moves they've made in the past 10 years feels like that more. The thought process has been more about an entertaining product than it has been to win a Stanley Cup, it feels like sometimes. With a lot of the moves that they made, a lot of short-sighted moves to make the team better right now, keep the team in the news often. It's not the way that a lot of people that, are around the hockey industry would look at building a contender. It feels like the Canucks are trying to build a fun product on the ice. And they have some very fun pieces. Andrei Kuzmenko resigning. He's a very fun piece. Having Quinn Hughes and Elias Pettersson, very fun pieces, also very good pieces, but it just feels like there's been more of a lean towards fun than there has to be good. And I think that's a huge problem for a team that now is into a spot where you can only squeeze the fun out of this team so much. And now you're at a point right now where it's not fun going to Rogers Arena a lot of nights. A lot of Canucks fans last night that went to that game expecting to have a fun night at Rogers Arena were extremely disappointed in a 6-1 loss to the Detroit Red Wings, where minutes into the game, their best player gets, not checked and gets a breakaway and scores. And it just felt like the Canucks were never in that game yesterday. The fun product is there's times this year where it's been fun, but it's not going to be, like I said, you can only squeeze that sponge so much before there's no more juice left in there, man.
Yeah. And it feels like they've kind of squeezed it to its pulp.
Sure. And think about like just other things even this season, like black skate coming back. Like it's another like that's fun. It's another fun thing. But does the black skate get the Canucks any closer to being a competitive playoff team? No.
What if they didn't redesign it?
Okay, well, the design thing's one thing, but yeah, it's going to be interesting to see moving forward here. Obviously, with the Canucks, they're going to make a lot of changes. I wonder how many more practices like this we're going to see. So yeah. It'll be interesting. It's definitely.
I think the only thing
watching them. Yeah. Sorry, just let me get this in. From watching the practices, there is a much different feeling at these practices than there was under Bruce Boudreau. Like there absolutely is much more time spent setting things up, teaching, talking with players. When under Boudreau, it was a lot of like, get out there, skate, pass the puck a lot, have the puck on your stick. And that's important. Like I've heard from players a lot. Jack Rathbone's a really good example of like how much better he feels in the AHL just playing hockey than being a guy who is in the press box every night or gets onto a third pairing and plays 12 minutes. Like when you have the puck on your stick a lot, you're learning a lot. Niels Höglander right now, he's learning a lot because he's having the puck on his stick so much. He's getting power play opportunity, like all that stuff. Just having the puck and possessing it's one thing. And that's what I think a lot of Bruce Boudreau's practices were like, was like feeling the puck, controlling the puck. But it's not like there was that structure that was being taught as much. You're seeing a lot more of that with Tocchet. Yeah, they're not doing so many up and down the ice skating drills where they just get a shot on a goalie like on a 3-on-0. They're doing a lot more of 3-on-2 situations, things in the offensive zone where they're setting up. We saw the drill where they're taking a whistle every time a pass was made. Like there is definitely a very different look to a practice under Rick Tocchet than there was with Boudreau, and it is leaning much more towards structure and teaching than it was instead of just
discipline.
Playing.
Yeah.
Discipline, exactly.
And that's the thing that I keep coming back to is I don't think there's a Canucks fan out there that's saying, don't be mean to our players. Right? Like there's no fan out there that's like, there might be fans saying this ice time stuff, you might have some problems with the deployment. Sure. I understand that. I can see that and I can get that. But there's no fan out there that's saying, why is he being so hard on JT Miller? Why is he calling out stick smashing from Oliver Ekman-Larsson? I don't want that. Oliver Ekman-Larsson's my favorite player. Like there's no one out there saying that. I think this market is actually dying for someone to whip these guys into shape. And I'm not talking about fitness, because I disagree with Tocchet when he says stuff like, oh, I think, the new level of fitness, like the Canucks are just bad. That's what it comes down to. The Canucks are just a bad team. And again, even to some point, I disagree with the whole, defensive structure. But then again, I don't think he's saying that in the sense of defensive structure, that'll fix everything. Like I think everybody knows this roster isn't good enough. And this roster needs, like Rutherford said, major surgery, right? And I think that's what it really comes down to is just, we can talk about defensive structure, we can talk about all this, but I think everybody, including Tocchet himself, understands that that's only going to get you so far. And to be quite honest with you, I think the only worry that fans have at this point is that that's going to result in more wins in the stat column, and then Canucks going to ruin their tank odds.
And that's the thing is like this roster is only going to get worse. When Rick Tocchet was here, he had Bo Horvat. He has Luke Schenn to kind of rely upon, even though Schenn, I tell you what, he hasn't been very good lately. Last few games is starting to show a little bit. It might just be playing with OEL, right? Like it might just be that when you're not playing. That's why I said last week on the show, you got to get Schenn back with Hughes. Like I know that Barron and Hughes look pretty good together. Like I think they're starting to develop that chemistry, but for the trade market with Schenn, I would get him away from OEL. I would get him on with Luke with Quinn Hughes as quick as possible, because that's going to help him not look and get exposed like as much as he was yesterday's game. And just the last couple games have not been great for Schenn in general, I think. So that's the other thing. It's like it's going to get worse before it gets better. That is the thing about like a rebuild that you have to go through, is things are going to have to get much worse before they get better. Things don't just change with a new coach and get better. Well, for this organization, at least, right? Like this isn't going to be what happened in Pittsburgh before when they fire a coach and end up going to win a Stanley Cup. Like it's not, I know that's happened for Rutherford and Alvin in the past. I don't think this is the same situation here. This is going to be the major surgery that they talked about isn't just about replacing the coach. It's about really getting players in place here that are going to make a difference for this team and be able to play a different brand of hockey. That's what the Canucks have to do. It's clearly not worked over the years here, and that's, change has to come. And like I said, it's going to get a lot worse than it is before it gets better.
Anthony Beauvillier's continued to impress me.
I have liked Beauvillier myself too. I mean, I think he's got really good hands. I think
Yes.
he needs to needs that adjustment with Pettersson to understand how to have success with those good hands. Like that's what I talked about this because Menko, I think, has done this. If Beauvillier I think it's going to take a little bit more time, but I can definitely see why he's a skilled winger. Like he's a guy that probably a lot of really good teams would like to have in their middle six. Like he skates hard. He's not the biggest guy, but I think he works hard and he's got good hands and is quick enough. So yeah, I think like he's the player that it feels like a type of fit that would be good with Elias Pettersson. So we'll see that likely more moving forward here. But we do have some different lines. I did throw them in here. Let's get to the lines real quick, just because there was a couple of changes. Alex, I did throw it into our work. What's our work thing called? You don't know. You don't put anything in there. The workspace or something. But we do. Let's take a look at the lines from today's practice because they were just a tiny bit different. Not a huge change. Defensemen all stayed the same. But off the top, we have Anthony Beauvillier, Elias Pettersson, and Vasily Podkolzin getting a run with Pettersson and Beauvillier on the top line. Another guy getting a little bit of a promotion, Phil DiGiuseppe, my guy. He's playing with JT Miller and Connor Garland. And then we saw a third line of Andrei Kuzmenko, Sheldon Dries, and Brock Besser, with Jack Studnicka being the guy rotating in there. And then our fourth line, we are looking at Dakota Joshua, Niels Amon, and Curtis Lazar.
Are you surprised to see Brock Besser bump down?
A little bit.
I wonder if this is Tocchet just trying to even out his lines a little.
You know what?
more.
Like I have seen a different type of drive in Brock Besser over the last week or so. Like the last few games, I actually have thought that he's been pretty. Like I think he had a big mistake yesterday's game because I remember, marking it down in my booklet in my little book yesterday. But I thought like Besser's played a lot stronger than we've seen throughout the rest of the season. It felt like he's got that. I don't know if it's confidence or just wanting to impress the coach or having a bump. It just felt like he's been a little bit better, I think, over the past, few games for sure. He's been noticeable. And I think that's the reason why he got the opportunity to go up and play with Pettersson and Beauvillier. Like, I think he was playing good enough to warrant that. I'm curious if this is just kind of spreading things out a little bit, right? Like, is this just, we liked what DiGiuseppe's done so far. Let's give him a chance here in the top six. It's a different look. I think they're trying to balance out the three lines here to be able to think that they can score a goal with all those top nine lines there. That's what I think about it anyways.
Yeah. I mean, no surprises, I guess, to be honest with you. You like DiGiuseppe getting that chance?
Sure. I mean, he's not the worst thing, I guess. I just think that, I mean, like.
But again, what are we talking about here? Let's come on. Let's be honest here. What are we talking about here?
It's like you got a really nice wrapping paper on a present that's empty.
Yes.
But really nice, nice little wrapping paper. They changed the wrapping paper up here. But Podkolzin getting a shot with Pettersson and Beauvillier, I like that. Get him back in there. Get him these opportunities playing with Pettersson.
He's
playing
looked good ever since he came back up.
Yeah, and I think he's deserved. And that's kind of the way that I'm looking at these line combinations. That I'm looking at the two guys who have been good since they got called up. They're getting an opportunity to play top 6 minutes, right? Like PDG and Podkolzin, they were in the AHL 3 weeks ago, and they're now playing in the top 6 of the Vancouver Canucks. It shows how much this team is going to
tank.
That's one way of looking at it. Trying a couple different things with this team, but this is to me what we've talked about when Tocchet came in, of like, try this, try other things. Let Tyler Myers take a penalty shot. They try a bunch of different things. I know you were mad about that last night.
2 opportunities. No, actually, I don't even know if he was on the ice for the last one. He was
on the ice,
and they didn't do it.
So it was. That's the funny thing. So when the penalty, and I didn't know this was a thing.
Yeah, it's happened twice now.
Is it only? Did you happen to look this up? It isn't if they clear the puck. It's only like a delay of game on the ice play. I could be wrong here. Somebody can correct me if they want to look into the rule book there. It might just be like if they clear the puck over the glass too, but that was a delay of game play on the ice, right?
Yes.
Like it was touching the goaltender or the goalie was pulling the net down or whatever it was. But that's the thing. Could it be any worse of a situation? Like the game is like, what is it? 6-1 at the time, right?
Yeah.
6-1. You have your fourth line out there with your third defense pairing, and it's like, hey, here's a penalty shot. Like, for all the 700 people left in the arena watching the game late in the third period.
The roof would have blown off the place if PDG scored.
My gosh, yeah. Like, would they even have played the goal horn at that point? Like, or you just want to get closer and closer to the final horn of the game? Tough one there. So, that situation. They got to get Tyler Myers shooting the puck there.
Okay, so the Canucks X's and O's at practice. This is the most dull show we've ever done because we both came in here being like, this team sucks and there's no hope. But there is hope in the form of the draft lottery, new series over at Canucks Army. Lachlan's doing the draft lottery watch. Remember, folks, it's not all about Bedard. All these folks that are like, oh, don't tank. It doesn't guarantee you'll get Bedard. You're going to get a good player if the Canucks keep losing games here. You're going to get a good player in that draft, and you have a better chance at Bedard. Anyways, I'm not going to entertain this conversation again. But Lachlan's looking at the schedules of all the teams around the Canucks for the week ahead, how they did in the week before. First one is up over at CanucksArmy.com.
I like it. Yeah. I'm flowing down. I'm floating down the river of Bedard myself.
Yeah, you have to. That's the hope, right?
Well, it's
now,
good to
right?
hear that Lachlan's a little bit of a different situation. In Eddie in the flow, I guess you could say.
Okay, odds and ends. Let's go.
Okay, odds and ends. Anything? I got Abbotsford stuff. They played tonight at 6:00. As far as we know, and this was we didn't touch on this from practice yet. Thatcher Demko and Colin Delia, the only two goalies at practice. We were kind of thinking, okay, sounds like Seelovs might get called up. Dude's got a ridiculous save percentage over his last 5 games. He played last 5 games. I think I asked you this yesterday, so maybe you can get it right. Last 5 games, how many goals has Seelovs given up?
6.
Boom. Nice job. 6 goals in his last 5 games. You can have your pizza now. So the Abbotsford Canucks, they're in action at 6 p.m. tonight. That's how I want the show to go with the food. Okay, Quads, you can have a bite of your food now. Abbotsford, they're in action against Calgary tonight in Calgary at 6:00. I haven't gotten confirmation yet if Spencer Martin is there. I'm expecting that he's there, but at the same time, they play. Abbotsford plays tonight on Tuesday and tomorrow on Wednesday. So Spencer Martin, I'd probably expect for him to start on Wednesday in front of them. Martin cleared waivers today. That's out there already. Archer Seelovs, I would expect to start tonight because he didn't get the call up. And this is a good team. This is a great matchup against this Calgary Wranglers team. So I'm excited for tonight. It's a wild thought. Like I've joked about this in the past, but now I'm like legitimately contemplating it. Is it better for me as like a media member who covers this organization? It might be better for me to go to Abbotsford. If there was an Abbotsford game last night, I see you agree. If there was an Abbotsford game last night, I would have gotten a much better story to talk about today on the show, or write about it Canucks Army, or whatever it be, tweet about something. What am I like? I feel it's crazy to think that like there is a bigger story in the AHL right now with this Canucks organization, because there's actually some exciting things happening in Abbotsford. They're on a 5-game win streak right now. They roll in to face Calgary. It's the battle of the top 2 goalies in the AHL tonight, Archer Seelovs and Dustin Wolf. So great matchup tonight in the AHL. And I wanted to quickly mention, because I know like Cody Sievertson covers the Abbotsford Canucks for us, and I know he's been on this train for a while, since kind of the real big improvements happened very early into the season. You got to start keeping an eye on Archie Bains, okay? At such a young age, this is an incredibly intelligent hockey player. And I've said this for a little bit here on the show. I think a lot of the success that we've seen from Danila Klimovich comes from being on a line with Archie Bains, who is just a cerebral player. That's not even my word of the day. That's just me using a good word there. Bains has been excellent at both extending play in the offensive zone, but also shutting things down with effort in the defensive zone. He's doing so many things right at the AHL level that has to make you think, like, as a rookie coming into this league, that's where the intelligence is beginning to shine with this guy, is that he is smart enough to realize what he has to do at that level to have success. And I think we're getting to a point where it's like now he's just building and building and building and becoming a more impressive player at the AHL level. So I've been very happy with the way that Bains has been developing this season, and to think that it's still, 25 games left in the AHL season, it's his rookie year. Got to think that there could be a chance for him to get to the NHL in the next couple of years, when at first it was like, yeah, you'd like to see him have the success in the AHL before you talk about that. Well, now he's having that success. So, good local kid, would love to see him in the black skate jersey one day, maybe in the blue and green like he grew up watching. And I think it's something like players like him in that situation, it means so much. Like, it means a lot to, I say this about Kyle Burrows all the time, local kid wants to be successful with the Canucks. You see that with Bains. You like the passion that he has to the organization. And you just got to say you've been impressed with what he's done at the AHL. I think he's a player to watch anyways in the near little bit here. I wouldn't be surprised if this dude gets a shot at some point this season in the NHL, just for like a hit at the end of the year. If you're really just talking about giving a guy an opportunity, give him that shot. At least that's a fun story for the Canucks later on in the year. And like I said earlier in the show, by the time we get to the final 10 games of the season, this organization will have not a lot of fun to talk about, I think. So with that, we might see Bains in the NHL later in this year. That's all I'm saying.
I like it.
I like it too.
Something to keep an eye on.
He's
I
been
don't think
good.
Seelovs is gonna. People have been asking me. I don't think Seelovs is gonna get a game in. I think he's gonna come up, get that paycheck as a reward for being so good down in Abbotsford.
Here's the thing. I feel like this whole situation, unless Demko is backing up, because they play tomorrow night, right? Rangers tomorrow. That's a game.
Yes.
So they play the Rangers tomorrow night, I think. I feel like Demko has to back up because, as far as I know, Spencer Martin and Archer Seelovs are both in Calgary tonight.
So what about tomorrow?
So yeah, do you fly
From Calgary to Vancouver?
So you play Seelovs tonight. You fly him back tonight after the game, or you get the first flight that you can because they're not. I don't think they're flying the team plane out there. So it's like then you get him in here tomorrow. You put him back up. Like it's a weird situation where, in my eyes, what should have been done was like Spencer Martin should have gone yesterday to Calgary, and Seelov should have been called up yesterday and backed up yesterday. Like why not? Like the whole timeline here is very confusing unless Demko is backing up tomorrow.
I'm being told he's not ready.
That's what we've heard.
And
that
Tocchet
before.
even
And
said it.
Tocchet
Tocchet said it.
That's what's so confusing to me is like, if they were in Abbotsford, I totally understand. But, and it's not like it's a huge travel from Calgary, but it's a weird situation where like if you need to call on Seelovs tomorrow, dude just played the night before, had to travel and get in that day. Like
And Martin can't back up. He's already cleared waivers. Someone in the chat brought it up.
Yeah.
He can't. He's already in the Abbotsford Canucks now.
Yeah.
He can't back up. So we'll see what happens tomorrow, I guess. Seelov's watch is still on. I put everybody on Seelov's watch.
Yeah, and like like Demko was a full participant in practice today. I know that we'll see if he talks to the media today. I think he should. So we'll see what happens there today. I'm gonna actually just see if he did talk today. I'm gonna quickly get see what Batch said. Yep, he talked about it. And hold on, Thatcher Demko. This is his quote about wanting out of Vancouver. He said, "It's not true. I'll just say that point blank." So that's him talking about it.
Well, yeah, we already said that.
And he says that barring any setbacks, he aims to be ready to back up against Philadelphia on Saturday. So the Canucks are going to need a backup goalie tomorrow.
Seelovs. Or that
I think it's going to be Seelovs.
get an e-bug. Can you? No,
I don't think you can just get.
Yeah, we're not going to start this. We're not starting. Okay.
So,
any more odds and ends?
no, that's all I got for odds and ends.
We should quickly shout out to our partners, fiance, girlfriend, Valentine's Day. It's very difficult for them sometimes with the work that we do, especially yours. When I give you a call and I say, "Hey, I need you to come do this." Yeah.
Oh yeah, we love the women in our life, and they deal with a lot of our crap.
Yeah.
From our job, I think a lot of the time.
Yes.
The hours, and that's the thing. Even tonight, like I got to cover the Abbotsford game. So we're gonna have a nice little Valentine's Day on Thursday.
Valentine's Day, you say?
Yeah, we're gonna have a good Valentine together.
We did ours on Friday, and it was a lot of fun.
Yeah, you did it before. That's an interesting one because what I was thinking is like, and I know she's listening, but she's gonna hear it anyways. Clearance flowers the day after, so I get the flowers on the 16th of February. Come on, I was looking at the flowers the other day. They're jacked up the prices for pre-Valentine's Day, but I tell you what, once Valentine's is over, you're laughing. I'm probably paying $9.99 for a bouquet of red roses.
Do you get a discount if you get stuff that's misspelled, like with an M instead of an N in Valentine's?
Do I get anything?
It was a joke.
No.
About how things might be cheaper if they're misspelled.
No.
Yeah. Okay.
And remember earlier in the show, but earlier in the show you said you're the funny one. And I think you just answered that with that joke that you tried there. All right,
let's go.
Let's get to Betway. Yeah, and clearance chocolates. I see Marcus in there saying that too. Let's see. Nick says, "I'm taking my girlfriend to an Abbey game on Monday for Valentine's Day." That's exciting. I wonder if I'll be out there. Or you know what? I'm heading to the Canucks game as a fan on the weekend here.
That's great.
Yeah, just going not as a media member. I'll be at the game on Saturday against the Flyers. So that'd be cool.
Okay, let's go.
You don't. I thought you took another bite of pizza or something there.
No.
All right, Betway. Here we go. Lisa says, "Hubby is taking to Seattle Thunderbirds game tonight." Nice. All right, Betway. That's good. I tell you, Lisa's lucky over there in Seattle. That Thunderbirds team they got there, that's a lot of fun. Okay, Betway. Unless anyone else in the chat's got anything. Corey says it's like candy in stores after Halloween. All right, Betway. Our Betway bets of the day. Okay, we're good. Betway bets of the day. So I got Colorado Avalanche, big game tonight. I actually, gonna watch this out of market game here. Hopefully, if the damn people at Sport, I don't know what's going on with that Sportsnet app and the Sportsnet Plus or whatever it's called. Oh man, they got to figure out what they got going on there with that product. Colorado Avalanche and Tampa Bay Lightning, they're playing tonight. Big game. I like this one. Avalanche to win in regulation and the over of 5.5 total goals being scored, taking that one plus 325. Feels pretty good. How many goals have the Avalanche scored in the last 4 games?
I don't know, 7.
I don't know either. Mikko Rantanen and Steven Stamkos both to have a point in this game. Minus 150 over on Betway. Betway, a $10 bet. That's going to return you $16.66. Couple good Betway bets there, and an exciting game to watch. Like, you watch an out-of-market game, a little money on the side makes it even more exciting than it already is. So that wraps it up there. Corey Anderson in the chat says that Thunderbirds team might be able to beat the Canucks. Lisa says, yes, they can, Corey. All right, that's where we're at. But I tell you, that's a wagon of a WHL team here, that Thunderbirds team. They're going to, that's a fun team to watch. For sure. So Lisa's lucky there in the chat. But that's all I got today. No more odds, no more ends, no more Betway. No more Betway.
Fantastic. All right, we'll wrap it up there. For my co-host, Chris
that.
Faber, and our technical producer, Alex Szilard. Happy Valentine's Day, folks. My name is Dave Quadrelli. Thank you so much for another episode of the Canucks Conversation.
Valentines! Woo!
Thanks for listening to Canucks Conversation. Hit the subscribe button to never miss an episode.
How about keep it to a thank you, Jim?